Welcome to today's video, where we're tackling a topic that's incredibly important for anyone over 70, or for those who have loved ones in that age group. The title of this video is 6 Things You Should Never Loan to Family After 70. Protect yourself, and I'm so glad you're here to explore this with me. Aging brings so much wisdom and joy, but it also comes with unique challenges, especially when it comes to family dynamics. We all love our families, we'd do anything for them. But sometimes that love can lead us to make decisions that put our own security at risk. After 70, you've worked hard to build a life of stability. Whether that's financial, emotional, or physical, you deserve to protect that, even when it means saying no to the people you care about most. Today we're going to talk about 6 specific things you should never loan to family members at this stage of life, because doing so could jeopardize your well-being. I'll share stories, explain the risks, and give you practical ways to set boundaries without guilt. This isn't about being selfish. It's about ensuring you can live your later years with peace and security. So grab a cozy spot, maybe a cup of tea, and let's dive in. The first thing you should never loan to family after 70 is a large sum of money, especially if it's a significant portion of your savings. I know this one can feel tricky. Your kids or grandkids might come to you with a heartfelt story. Maybe they're struggling to pay bills, buy a house, or start a business. You want to help. It's natural. But here's the reality. After 70, your financial security is more important than ever. I think of my friend's aunt, Marjorie, who's 74. A few years ago, her son asked to borrow $20,000 to start a small business. Marjorie had always been generous, and she didn't want to say no. She gave him the money, which was a big chunk of her retirement savings. The business didn't take off, and her son couldn't pay her back. Marjorie didn't want to push him. She felt guilty even bringing it up. But now she's struggling to cover her own medical bills. It's a heartbreaking situation, and it's more common than you might think. Why is lending large sums of money so risky at this age? After 70, your income is often fixed. Maybe you're living off savings, a pension, or Social Security. You don't have the same earning potential to rebuild if something goes wrong. Unexpected expenses, like healthcare costs or home repairs, can pop up, and you need that cushion to stay independent. If you lend money and it's not repaid, you might find yourself dipping into funds meant for your own care. Or worse, relying on others to support you. A study from the National Council on Aging found that financial insecurity is one of the top stresses for older adults, and it can lead to health issues like high blood pressure or anxiety. Beyond the financial strain, there's an emotional toll. Resentment can build if the loan isn't repaid, and it can damage your relationship with your family. How can you protect yourself? The simplest answer is to say no to large loans, but I know that's easier said than done. If your family member is in need, start by having an honest conversation. Explain that your savings are for your security, and you can't risk lending money you might not get back. If you still want to help, consider a smaller one-time gift that you can afford to lose, something that won't impact your stability. Marjorie started doing this after her experience. She now sets a limit of $500 for any family help, and she treats it as a gift, not a loan. Another option is to help in non-financial ways. Maybe you can offer advice, connect them with resources, or support them emotionally. If they're persistent, you might suggest they speak with a financial advisor to explore other options, like a bank loan. Setting this boundary isn't about being unkind. It's about ensuring you can take care of yourself, which ultimately benefits your whole family. The second thing you should never loan to family after 70 is your home, as a place for them to live indefinitely. This might sound surprising. After all, your home is a place of love and memories, and you might want to open it to family who need a place to stay. But there's a big difference between a short visit and letting someone move in long-term. I think of my neighbor, Mr. Carter, who's 77. His daughter lost her job and asked to move in with her 2 kids just for a few months. Mr. Carter agreed because he wanted to help, but those few months turned into 2 years. His small house felt crowded. His utility bills skyrocketed, and he started feeling overwhelmed. He couldn't relax in his own space, and his health began to suffer. He wasn't sleeping well, and his blood pressure went up. When he finally asked his daughter to move out, it caused tension, and he felt guilty for months. Why is this so risky? After 70, your home is often your sanctuary, a place where you can feel safe and in control. Having family move in long term can disrupt your routine, increase stress, and even put your physical safety at risk if the arrangement leads to clutter or chaos. Financially, it can strain your budget. Extra mouths to feed, higher bills, and potential damage to your property add up quickly. There's also the emotional side. If the arrangement doesn't work out, it can lead to arguments or estrangement, which is the last thing you want. A survey from AARP found that 1 in 3 older adults who let family live with them reported feeling overwhelmed or resentful, and many said it negatively impacted their health. How can you protect yourself? Be clear about boundaries from the start. If a family member needs a place to stay, set a specific time limit, like 2 weeks, and stick to it. Mr. Carter wishes he'd done this. He now tells family they can visit for a short time, but his home isn't a long-term solution. If they need housing, offer to help them find affordable options, like rental assistance programs or temporary shelters. You can also support them in other ways, like helping with a job search or watching the kids for a few hours so they can focus. If they're already living with you and it's not working, have an honest conversation. Explain that you need your space for your health and work together on a plan for them to move out. It might feel tough, but your well-being comes first, and a loving family will understand that. The third thing you should never loan to family after 70 is access to your credit, such as co-signing a loan or letting them use your credit card. This might seem like a small favor. Maybe your child needs a car loan, or your grandchild wants to borrow your card for one quick purchase. But this can open the door to serious financial trouble. I heard about a woman named Doris, who's 71. Her son asked her to co-sign a loan for a new car because his credit wasn't great. Doris trusted him, so she agreed. A year later, he stopped making payments, and the bank came after Doris. Her credit score tanked, and she had to dip into her savings to cover the debt. She felt betrayed, and it took years to rebuild her financial stability. Why is this so dangerous? After 70, your credit is a lifeline. It affects your ability to get loans, rent a place, or even qualify for certain services. If a family member defaults on a loan you co-signed, you're legally responsible, and it can drain your resources. Letting them use your credit card is just as risky. They might overspend, or their purchases could lead to debt you can't pay off. The Federal Trade Commission reports that older adults are increasingly targeted for financial scams, and even well-meaning family can unintentionally put you at risk. Beyond the financial impact, there's the emotional strain. Trust can be broken, and you might feel taken advantage of, which can harm your mental health. How can you protect yourself? The best approach is to say no to any request that involves your credit. If your family member needs a loan, encourage them to work on their own credit or look into alternative financing options, like credit unions or government programs. Doris learned this the hard way. Now she tells her family she can't risk her credit, but she's happy to help with budgeting advice instead. If they need to make a purchase, suggest they use a prepaid debit card rather than your credit card. If you've already co-signed something and it's causing issues, talk to a financial advisor or lawyer about your options. You might be able to negotiate with the lender or remove your name from the agreement. Protecting your credit is protecting your future, and that's non-negotiable. The fourth thing you should never loan to family after 70 is your car for extended or regular use. Your car might seem like a practical thing to share. Maybe your grandson needs it to get to work, or your daughter wants to borrow it for errands. But this can lead to more problems than you might expect. I think of my uncle's friend, Mrs. Lopez, who's 76. Her grandson asked to use her car a few times a week because he couldn't afford his own. Mrs. Lopez agreed, but soon he was using it almost daily. He got into a minor accident, and her insurance rates went up. On top of that, she often found herself stranded at home, unable to run errands or get to doctor's appointments. It started to feel like her independence was slipping away. Why is lending your car a bad idea? After 70, your car is often a key part of your independence. It gets you to appointments, social events, or the grocery store. If a family member is using it regularly, you might be left without transportation, which can limit your freedom and even isolate you. There's also the risk of accidents or damage. Your insurance might not cover a driver who's not on your policy, and repairs can be costly. If they get a ticket or violate traffic laws, it could affect your record or rates. A study from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety found that older adults who lose access to reliable transportation report higher levels of stress and loneliness. Plus, there's the emotional side. If something goes wrong, it can lead to tension or arguments with your family. How can you protect yourself? Set firm boundaries about your car. If a family member needs a ride, offer to drive them yourself if you're able, or help them find other solutions, like public transit or ride-sharing apps. Mrs. Lopez started doing this. She'll give her grandson a ride to work occasionally, but her car stays with her. If they need a vehicle, encourage them to save for their own or look into car-sharing programs in your area. If you've already lent your car and it's causing issues, have a candid conversation. Explain that you need your car for your own independence and work together on an alternative plan. Your mobility is precious and you deserve to keep it. The fifth thing you should never loan to family after 70 is your personal documents or sensitive information, like your social security number, bank account details, or passwords. This might seem obvious, but it's easy to let your guard down with family. Maybe your child asks for your bank login to help with online banking, or your niece needs your social security number for a form. I heard about a man named Edward, who's 73. His daughter asked for his bank account info to set up a bill payment for him. Edward trusted her, but a few months later, he noticed unauthorized withdrawals. It turned out she'd used the account to cover her own expenses. Edward felt betrayed, and it took months to resolve the issue with his bank. Why is sharing this information so risky? After 70, you're more vulnerable to financial exploitation, even from well-meaning family members. If your personal information gets into the wrong hands, or if a family member misuses it, you could lose money, have your identity stolen, or face legal battles to recover your assets. The National Center on Elder Abuse reports that financial exploitation costs older adults billions each year, and family members are often the culprits. Beyond the financial loss, there's the emotional impact. Trust is broken, and you might feel unsafe or betrayed, which can take a toll on your mental health. How can you protect yourself? Never share sensitive information, even with family. If someone needs access to your accounts to help you, set up a limited power of attorney with a lawyer, so they can act on your behalf without full access. Edward now uses a trusted financial advisor to manage his bills, and he keeps his account details private. If you're not tech-savvy, ask for help setting up secure systems, like two-factor authentication, rather than handing over passwords. Keep your documents in a safe place, like a locked box or a safety deposit box at the bank. If you suspect misuse, act quickly. Contact your bank, freeze your accounts, and report the issue to authorities. Your personal information is your shield. Guard it fiercely. The sixth and final thing you should never loan to family after 70 is your emotional energy when it comes to toxic or draining dynamics. This isn't a physical thing, but it's just as important. After 70, your emotional well-being is crucial for your health, and some family relationships can sap your energy if they're filled with drama, guilt trips, or constant demands. I think of my friend's grandma, Mrs. Evans, who's 78. Her son had a habit of calling her every time he was upset, sometimes multiple times a day, dumping his problems on her. Mrs. Evans felt obligated to listen, but it left her exhausted and anxious. She wasn't sleeping well, and her doctor noticed her blood pressure was creeping up. She finally realized she couldn't keep carrying his emotional load. Why is this so harmful? After 70, chronic stress can have a serious impact on your health. It raises cortisol levels, which can lead to heart issues, weakened immunity, and even cognitive decline. Toxic family dynamics like constant arguing or manipulation can make you feel trapped or worthless, which is the opposite of what you deserve at this stage of life. A study from the American Psychological Association found that older adults who experience high levels of family stress have a higher risk of depression and chronic illnesses. Your emotional energy is a finite resource, and you need to save it for what brings you joy and peace. How can you protect yourself? Set boundaries around how much emotional energy you give. If a family member is draining you, limit how often you engage. Maybe you take their calls once a week instead of daily. Mrs. Evans started doing this with her son. She told him she loved him, but could only talk on Sundays, and she encouraged him to seek a therapist for his bigger issues. If conversations turn negative, redirect them to lighter topics or gently end the call. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, friends, other family members, or even a support group for seniors. If the relationship is deeply toxic, it's okay to step back entirely. You don't have to feel guilty for protecting your peace. Your emotional health is just as important as your physical health, and you deserve to feel safe and valued. So there you have it. 6 things you should never loan to family after 70 to protect yourself. Let's recap them quickly. First, don't loan large sums of money that could jeopardize your financial security. Second, don't let family live in your home indefinitely, as it can disrupt your sanctuary. Third, don't share access to your credit, like co-signing loans or lending your credit card. Fourth, don't loan your car for extended use, as it can limit your independence. Fifth, never share personal documents or sensitive information that could lead to exploitation. And sixth, don't loan your emotional energy to toxic dynamics that drain you. These boundaries aren't about shutting out your family. They're about ensuring you can thrive in your later years. I hope this video has given you the tools and confidence to protect yourself while still showing love to your family. Saying no doesn't make you selfish. It makes you wise. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more advice on navigating life after 70. I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts, or maybe a story about how you've set boundaries with family. I read every comment, and your experiences mean so much to me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself. You've earned it.